Hey guys, Blur here, and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, we do gaming related reviews, some tutorials, and really just about anything gaming related. So if that's something that you like, go ahead and stay tuned, subscribe to the channel. We'll keep the conversation going. So in my office, if you ever saw my G604 LightSpeed review, I'm gonna go ahead and put that up in one of these corners here. If you saw that review, you'd know that I have 3 PCs in my office. One of the big selling points for the G604 LightSpeed for me was the fact that I can hook up multiple PCs, actually all 3 of them if I wanted to the same keyboard at the same time. I recognize that I won't necessarily be able to do that with the mics that I'm reviewing today, but I needed a mouse that had very solid Wi-Fi connectivity for gaming, as well as a Bluetooth setting so that I can use that mouse on another computer. Both of these mice have that capability, and we're talking about the Logitech G604 LightSpeed and the Basilisk X HyperSpeed. At the end of this video, I'm gonna give away one of these 2 mice to one of our subscribers. So go ahead and stay to the end of the video to figure out how you can enter to win one of the mice that I review on this video. With that being said, are you ready? I know I am. Let's get into it. So the first mouse we're going to take a look at today is the Basilisk X HyperSpeed. This is a $59.99 mouse in Razer's Basilisk lineup. That lineup has 3 mice. It has the Basilisk X HyperSpeed. It has the Basilisk V2, which is a wired version of the Basilisk Ultra, their top of the line flagship mouse in this lineup. The design is very similar and reminiscent of another mouse, the Logitech G502 LightSpeed, or just the G502 in general, that family of mice. I keep hitting the mic, and that should probably stop if I want this video to be good. And this mouse feels it. It actually feels in the hand like a G502. The dimensions are very similar. Similarities aside, there's a lot of differences here in this mouse. So to start off with, this mouse uses basically a lot of Razer's last gen stuff crammed into this mouse. However, that's not really bad. The 5G optical sensor that they have on this mouse goes up to 16,000 DPI, which you're never gonna go up to anyway. Has a polling rate of 1,000, has a battery life of 285 hours on the wireless connection, and 450 hours on Bluetooth. The mouse has 6 programmable buttons. Don't let that fool you though, it's just the main buttons: back, forward, primary, and right click. You have your middle scroll wheel, and then you have a DPI button down there. And obviously this mouse, as mentioned at the beginning of the video, has both the wireless connectivity and Bluetooth. So you can hook it up to 2 PCs at the same time and switch between them at the click of a button or flip of a switch. All of the buttons on this mouse are mechanical. It feels very satisfying, very clicky. Just hear that. If you're not a fan of like loud keyboards, you probably won't like the way that these buttons sound, but man, sure love how they feel. Some additional things to note: this is powered by a AA battery. Now, there's no rechargeable battery at all in this mouse. You're gonna have to just buy some rechargeable Duracells or something like that and utilize that to charge up this mouse. There's also no tilt on the scroll wheel, so you can't move it left or right. I don't necessarily find that to be a big deal, but maybe if you work on large spreadsheets or something like that, that might be something that you would care about. This mouse weighs 83 grams without the battery. Now, without the battery, you're moving something around that won't do anything on your desk.
This damn thing doesn't work at all.
The battery will make this mouse push roughly about 100 grams, between 96 and 100 grams. Now I can say gaming on this mouse has been a treat. The movement is hyper fluid, it reacts the way you expect it to, and there is absolutely no latency in the wireless connectivity if you're hooked up via their HyperSpeed technology. Bluetooth was no slouch either. I was able to play around with the Bluetooth and really not notice too big of an issue. Now there is latency there if you're playing competitive FPS, but just know if you needed to game with it in a pinch, I guess, the battery life is just not cutting it for you, it's perfectly doable. So the Basilisk X HyperSpeed utilizes Synapse 3 from Razer. So if we click on the mouse, we have some very simple settings here. We can customize what all of the buttons do with the exception of left and right click. I changed this middle button here from the DPI switch to Razer's HyperShift so that I can add additional functionality to the buttons. Under the performance tab, you have the 3 different stages of DPI. I have 800, 1000, 800, and 3600. I believe you can go up to 5. This is also where you can change the polling rate, which is hyper important. I like to keep it at 1000, even if that is going to hit the battery life the hardest. And then power, this is how long that you can keep the mouse in idle before the mouse goes to sleep. Now, this is actually a fairly important setting. I have it at 15. Every Razer mouse I've ever owned, they all have issues waking from sleep. There's always a major delay from when I shake a mouse to when it actually wakes up and starts performing the way that it's supposed to. The next mouse in this lineup is a Logitech G604 LightSpeed. Let's go ahead and see how this compares. The G604 LightSpeed is $100 retail, but you can find it on sale right now for roughly about $69.99 at the time of this recording. Right off the bat, before I even talk about this mouse's specs, it is one goofy looking mouse. Look, I am not a fan of this design language. The way that the feet protrude from the bottom, do you guys see that? Like, that's like, why? The overall swooping and shape of it. Let's get into the specs. So this mouse utilizes Logitech's Hero sensor. That is the same sensor you're gonna find on the G Pro Wireless as well as the Logitech G502 LightSpeed. It has a sensitivity rating that goes from 100 all the way up to 16,000 DPI, which again, you're never gonna use. It's unusable. The 604 LightSpeed uses their LightSpeed technology, which gives you almost no latency whatsoever when gaming with this mouse wirelessly. It's the same technology that is in the G Pro Wireless and the same technology that is in the G502 LightSpeed, the G915, as well as the G502 LightSpeed. When on LightSpeed, you'll get 240 hours of non-stop gaming, and on Bluetooth, they give you a whopping 5.5 months of battery life on a single AA battery. That battery life comes at a cost, however. If you're on the LightSpeed connection, you have a polling rate of up to 1000 millihertz, and if you're on Bluetooth, you get a whopping 88 to 135. Guys, this mouse on Bluetooth, for me, gave me a headache.
You are giving me a headache!
You'll drag your mouse across the screen and you'll see that pointer every inch across the screen. It's absolutely jarring and terrible to look at if you're doing any type of productivity work at all. Now let's talk about those buttons. This mouse has 15 programmable keys on it. This is a great MMO mouse. You can keybind all of your spells or attacks or abilities or anything like that on this mouse, and it would do a fantastic job. Now this mouse is a chunker.
Goodness, girl, you huge.
This mouse weighs in at 135 grams with the battery in. That is heavy. Now the buttons on this mouse specifically, now you're not gonna hear it because I have sound suppression on, because I have a child that runs around the house screaming. The left and right click they feel pretty crispy, they feel good. The scroll wheel is one of the things that I absolutely love about Logitech. I love that smooth scroll wheel. These programmable keys here on the side, I can tell you that they feel really mushy. I don't like the way they feel. There's no crisp clickiness. They're clearly not mechanical. And for $99, I really would have expected those buttons to feel nicer. They just don't. And then these top buttons here, there's no tactile feedback whatsoever. The Logitech G604 LightSpeed uses Logitech's G Hub software. Now this software is fairly robust, gives you a lot of different commands and things that you can choose from. You can obviously change all of the settings and what all of the keys do, set up macros or change any keys as you'd like, and set a G shift key, and then you have double the assignable keys. This thing turns into a monster with keys if you assign maybe one of these plus minus keys as a G shift key, and then you have another 6 keys to assign down here on the left hand side. Absolutely crazy. You also have the ability to select your DPI settings. So here you can change all of your sensitivity settings, your DPI settings. Here you have your polling rate. I again keep mine at 1000. There are no RGB lights on this mouse, as you can tell, so there are no lighting settings. Now most people picking up this mouse will pick up this mouse specifically for MMO play. I would say yes, obviously, and yes, it's probably too heavy for most competitive shooters. But hear me out. When you switch from console to PC, most of your actions are performed on your right hand. Jump, reload, the action button, crouch, all of those things are done with your right hand. When you go to keyboard and mouse, all of a sudden, that's done with your left hand. So it might actually be easier for somebody who's switching off console to go ahead and map the standard functions that they're used to hitting with their thumb on their right hand than it would be to try to have them learn keyboard and mouse and all the keyboard buttons. But yes, she's a heavy girl, so I mean, weigh that out. Pun not intended. I would say that if you weren't gonna use this mouse for its Bluetooth functionality, it has the sensor and internals of mice that are 50% more expensive. So I think that that is a huge bargain if you can live with the weight. I think you know which mouse I'm gonna end up staying with. I'm gonna end up picking the Razer Basilisk X HyperSpeed. For my use case, the Bluetooth polling rate on this is leaps and bounds better. That doesn't mean that it's an overall better mouse than the G604 LightSpeed. It just, for my use case, works better since I plan on using the Bluetooth functionality. If I was not planning on utilizing the Bluetooth functionality and only strictly wanted to game via the wireless dongle, I would actually probably end up picking the 604 LightSpeed, if not only for all the additional buttons, even if it does weigh a little bit more. But I love the X HyperSpeed's build. I love the shape. Obviously, I'm a G502 user. I love the mechanical key switches, and I absolutely love how much this mouse weighs. Look, I know it's not a 60-gram glorious mouse, but it's wireless. You don't really get that in wireless. Notwithstanding, this is still a great mouse for the money and a fantastic bargain at $60. So what do you guys think? Would you go with the Razer X HyperSpeed or with the Logitech G604 LightSpeed? Leave your comments down below. To enter to win the Logitech G604 LightSpeed, all you need to do is subscribe to the channel and leave a comment down below as to which mouse you would prefer. For an additional entry into the giveaway, also share this video via social media and tag me in that post. All of my social media links are listed in the description below. Please note that this giveaway is US only, and the winner will be drawn on Tuesday, August 4th on my live stream that airs at 7 p.m. If you want to see that drawing live, we would love for you to join us, and I will be contacting the winner directly after the live stream. If you got any value out of this video, please consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and go ahead and hit that little bell icon on the right to make sure that you get notified the next time I send out another video. And when I give stuff away. I have a streaming show that I stream every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. That is streamed over to Twitch, YouTube, and to Facebook, so come hang out if you have the chance. With that being said, thank you guys very much for watching the video, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.